Function, pumping and dumping, manipulate the market, flooded from the darknet, flooded from the deep web, keep it a secret. Every exchange got the nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
Hello everyone out there, just give us a moment. We just want to make sure that all the audio is working properly. Just give us a bit here. That's why I'm going to constantly talk, make sure all the audio is working. Hello everyone. Perfect! Audio is working. Alright, this is going to be interesting because it's going to probably be one of the most like hap dash sort of episodes that we've had at Crypto Barons, which is impressive because we've had a lot of these. But hi, welcome to this program. For those of you who are wondering out there, people refer to me on the internet as Side Pocket. That is my internet handle. For most of my life, I am one of the two co-founders of DCG 201, formerly known as DEF CON 201 or DC 201. We are one of the many computer hacker groups under the DEF CON Groups banner across the nation and worldwide. Our 201 stands for our area code, hence we're in New Jersey, particularly in Jersey City. And if you want to know more information about us, including our upcoming hybrid meetup, on the 20th, which we will be posting details about shortly after this episode airs, you can go to our website at defcon201.org, and I also just post the link in the chat. And hold on a moment, let me just do another test. Okay, I'm going to repost that link in chat because apparently Twitch just had a weird kerfuffle. Okay, good. And we're also on all sorts of social media. I mean, if you look up DEF CON 201 or DCG 201, our name should pop up on like Google or DuckDuckGo, but we're all over the place. Our most prominent ones seem to be Twitter, which is at DEF CON 201NJ, as well as DEF CON 201 on Instagram. We're also on GitHub and the hostducks.social instance of Mastodon. We have our own onions for those out there who use Tor. If you want a whole master list of what you can watch us streaming on, as well as how you can connect to us on the web, here's the Linktree master list that I just posted in chat. Before we continue on with the show, if you like the content that you see today, and it's going to be interesting because I'm kind of winging it this episode, you can like, share, subscribe to us for free on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. Every time you do that, we get like notifications that pop up, and we like to cheer people on and things, especially if you're on DLive, because not only is our treasure chest open, and we'll be dropping lemons in about roughly an hour. I'm thinking between 9 to 9:30 that's going to happen. But if we get 2 more followers on DLive, we are 2 people away from 100 followers on DLive. This allows us to do a lot more with the DLive account because we can officially apply to an upgrade for free called Cryptocurrency Superstar, where not only can we do more for Crypto Barons, the show, but also just do more with their DLive account in general. So if you have a DLive account or you know someone who has a DLive account, please tell them to follow up there above. And thank you, Foregatherers, for following us on Twitch. See, that's the notification things I was talking about. Also, real quick, here's the first or second Incent rewards that can pop up. If you go to getincent.com or scan the QR code with the Incent wallet, you get a little bit of a cryptocurrency called Incent, and over time, you can then trade it for other cryptocurrencies. And when you do that, let's say you trade in for Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero, or whatever, you can then either put that in your own wallets or convert that into the currency of your choice, the fiat currency of your choice, and pull that out. And we're not sponsored by them or anything. We just think it's a really cool way to like give back. You know, when you're watching this stream, you can earn basically bits of cryptocurrency. I can't think of more Crypto Barons thinking of that. We also stream on 3 other services. So hello everyone out there on Diode Zone. We absolutely love Diode Zone. Diode Zone, there's like a weird thing on my arm. Diode Zone actually saved our butts during our last meeting, where our May meeting, where unfortunately due to the DJ set we had, he really tried to avoid copyright music, but apparently the DMCA thought otherwise. We had to take that video temporarily off YouTube in order to make sure our account works, and PeerTube, which is what Diode Zone is. God, my nasal stuff's going crazy. Does not have a problem with that, so we have that episode on file, thankfully. Also, hi everyone out there who is watching on YouTube, but through a open source ad-free service called Invidus via Tor. You are the elite hackers. And then my condolences for everyone who's watching out there on Facebook. You can chat with us if you're watching on Facebook, but because Facebook is all about its own service, it doesn't know how to communicate with Restream, so there's an extra step. I just posted that URL step in the chat. So if you're on Facebook and you want to talk to us and you haven't gotten off of Facebook yet, like me, you can use that link. So I'm going to finish the introduction here, and then we're going to take a very, very short break because I actually have something cooking in the oven, like literally in the oven. But what is this show? Well, I have 2 shows, and every second and fourth Saturday of every month, we do a show called Crypto Barons. This is a show where we take a look at cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies, but while we sometimes get into a bit, and I just remembered something, but while we do get into a bit of finance, and we often do dives into the communities of these cryptocurrency and blockchain tech, we are extremely interested in looking at them as technologies. Like a lot of these are open source. We want to look at the code and we want to see if there's a testnet or a wallet we can actually run, figure out how the whole system works, etc., etc. This is why I also wear the actual blockchain that co-founder G.I. Jack provides for me every show, because this is actually his. And that's what we're going to be doing today. And so today's episode of Crypto Barons, and I'm finally happy to do this live with no schedule screw-ups, we're going to be looking at something that actually DCG 201 member, prominent member I should add, Silvercell, he does a lot of our infrastructure stuff and a lot of cool projects in general, actually suggested when I was about to look at my master list, and he brought up something that I actually hadn't heard of yet, which is weird because I know the services this runs, but I didn't know it was running on this sort of blockchain tech. And so we're going to be taking a look at Oxen. Bulls are on parade. Oxen, from what I can tell, is a privacy-focused token, and it's built on a privacy and decentralized blockchain that has a couple of interesting projects that are attached to it. So what I'm going to actually do right now, and bear with me, is we're going to do a quick music break. I'm going to go on AFK mode for like a minute max, and then we're going to flip over to the stream chat mode because I have to literally pull food out of the oven and hope it's not burnt. And we're going to take a look at this, and who knows, we might be able to download some stuff and see if it actually runs. So I'll be back in about 30 seconds to a minute. Stay tuned, everybody.
Took a walk among the stars tonight. Found myself a washing colored light. It felt like spirits had awakened me. This carnival of animals had taken me. They danced around me and they took my hand. Whispered, close your eyes and understand. And when I felt the change, it startled me. This carnival of animals is part of me, part of me, part of me, part of me. your eyes and understand. When I felt the change, it startled me. This carnival of animals is part of me, part of me, part of me. Took a walk among the stars tonight. Found myself a washing color light. It felt like spirits had awakened me. This carnival of animals had taken me. They danced around me and they took my hand. Whispered, close your eyes and understand. When I felt the change, it startled me. This carnival of animals is part of me, part of me, part of me. This carnival of animals is all I see.
And we are back, everybody. So sorry, it took a little bit over than about a minute. It was almost like 3 minutes. But I wanted to make sure that I cleaned out my nasal cavity because, as everyone knows, apparently, let's turn back to this. Apparently, every time I live stream, my nasal stuff goes completely out of control for some reason. I honestly don't know why. Maybe I'm like some cat owner friends of mine who own like 2 or 5 cats, but are actually allergic to cats. So maybe I'm allergic to live streaming or the DMCA's on the live streaming platforms. I have no idea. But this is our landing page. This is the DCG 201 website. As you can see, it's reading stuff for some reason all the way back in May because we've had a crazy schedule over the summer. Shortly, either later today or tomorrow, it will be updated with some of the information we're going to be posting in about like 2 to 3 hours about our meeting that's going to be happening on August 20th. It's going to be a hybrid meeting. That means that, and I can actually say these times, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can show up physically to our normal meeting spot at Subculture, which is this amazing sandwich shop. And we're going to have a bunch of activities there. And then at 6, we're going to start the live stream. And there'll be a bit of crossover between the two, but each thing, both the live stream and the in-person thing, have unique things on their own. So, like, you know, there's things that you will be able to experience at the live streaming, at in-person thing that you will not see on live stream, particularly for legal reasons. And then there'll be things on the live stream that if you don't watch the live stream while you're there on your phone or your laptop or whatever, you wouldn't know that these things were going on. So it's going to be an interesting way of, just like DEF CON, we're going to be hybrid this next couple of months, provided that Delta stays in its lane. But we're not here to talk about that now. What we're going to look at is Oxen. Now, this was brought up to me again by DCG 201 member Siricel, and I had no idea this exists. I'll post the website here. It's called Oxen.io. Very snazzy website, I like all these weird geometric, it's like isometric, like PC game from like the mid 90s, but like with like Tron elements, but done in the sort of vaporwave style that you see now. It's a really trippy website. Also, honestly, for the most part, kind of really clean website. And the funny thing is, I was actually trying to think of, oh, I should have brought up like the different, I should have brought up CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and it turns out they have the links right there on their website. So that's how, you know, congratulations on the website. That's how well this stuff was built. And so right now, Oxen itself as a cryptocurrency looks like it's in the positive. It's 0.7527 blah 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 dollar, which is actually pretty impressive considering most cryptocurrencies are like have like 20 zeros before they even hit a number. It went down like 0.5%. Which tells me that Oxen is not only promising, but is most likely not a shitcoin, as we would call it. You can kind of see the chart here, where like back when it kind of launched in around like 2018, it was like, And in 2020, it started to gain speed, and then oh my God, everything went crazy, particularly between like May of this year, which I guess we're going to look at. Like between January to May, it's skyrocketing, and it's kind of even out since then. At one point, it was actually worth, see if we can get that number to pop up again. It was actually worth like $2, which again, I know like Bitcoin's like $11 billion right now, and Litecoin and some of these others have more USD monetary value. And we, by the way, our base standard here is USD, or the United States dollar, that our fiat currency in our country. But it's still impressive for a coin that's come out of nowhere, because so many alternative coins that aren't the big 6 or 7 try to compete, whether, and like they always horribly fail. So this does look promising. Oxen, and I'm going to read what they wrote here, because I'm basically going to discover this with you, so you kind of actually get to see what it's like during the week when I normally explore a topic and I do research beforehand, so it seems like I know everything. I'm going to find everything out along with you, so this is what kind of here. I love that CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko have kind of their own descriptions of what they are. And again, I'm not doing any videos for Oxen today, but we're going to do a bit of recon, and if you want to read along with us, there's a link for CoinMarketCap. As they wrote here, Oxen was formerly known as Loki. I don't know if they had to change it because of like Disney owning Marvel or something, but they still have the Loki network. We're gonna look into that. And plus, clever name there, the Loki network. It's on the low key. As a privacy tech project, it's a private cryptocurrency with instant transactions, enormous network, and a powerful point of service network. I always read that as piece of shit network for some reason. Well, see, it's weird because on one hand, Jack, you can't copyright it, but on the other hand, it's also Disney. So I wouldn't be surprised if like it's one of those where while you can't copyright it, Disney is kind of like, hey, what the hell are you doing? And it scares most people away. So I honestly would not be surprised if that was the case. Because I'll put it this way, there was a video game that came out last year called, well, here's the funny thing, that was called Gods and Monsters, right? That was its initial title. Everyone loved that title, right? And then it came out, and then when it was shown next year at E3, it had a sudden name change, and it was called Immortals Phoenix Rising, which is such a generic-ass name. This is a AAA video game, and they changed it to a name that's so generic that it sounds like one of those, like, mobile cell phone games that has a billion microtransactions, right? And it sold well and it reviewed well, but that name deterred a lot of people. And everyone wondered, why did they change the name? And then a video game journalist organization investigated it, and they found out that Monster Energy Drink sued them and sent a cease and desist for having the word monster in Gods and Monsters. So they were forced to change the name to avoid going to court against Monster Energy Drink over that. So that's exactly what I mean about, like, technically you shouldn't be able to copyright it, but unfortunately we live in this horrible reality with this country. And hi there, Archive 314, and thank you for the follow for us on Twitch right there. I'm just explaining an odd side story about copyright. We're going to probably be talking about copyright in the future for side things. Heck, I'm pretty sure Jack's probably going to bring it up on maybe on Arch Vol Linux perspective, depending on what he does. But it's just sort of like that's how the annoying thing we are. So like dead serious. I wouldn't be surprised that while you can't copyright the name Loki, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney like basically yelled at people anyhow, and maybe that's why they changed the name. I have no idea. Yeah, basic from 2600. Mm-hmm. And it's assuming you mean 2600, the video game platform, and not like 2600, like 2600 magazine and the whistle and stuff. But let's get back to Oxen. So their whole vision here, right, is it's similar to basically everyone's trying to go after Ethereum. So it's the same thing with Ethereum. It's the same thing with the Polkadot network. They want to build a blockchain with a default token as an example to provide different tools and services. But what makes things kind of different is that this is apparently more focused on privacy and user security. Because Polkadot basically is trying to be a more efficient Ethereum, and Ethereum is just the nebulous big boy one. This one is trying to do like the privacy equivalent of that, kind of like how Monero is essentially like the privacy Bitcoin at this point. I know the Monero Foundation will yell at me for saying like that, but that's honestly how most people perceive it. And we're going to be looking at a couple of tools here. There's the Oxen naming system, which allows you to, similar to what we covered on a previous episode, I don't even remember what episode number, where we talked about how people figured out how to burn particularly Bitcoins and cryptocurrency coins and put other data on the different blocks in the chain. And that a whole service such as Namecoin, ooh, nice breeze, Namecoin and stuff came out of that. Oxen has its own system called ONS instead of DNS for Oxen Name System, which allows you to burn Oxen to purchase temporary or permanent usernames and names for the wallets and domain names for the Loki services. That's actually why, once again, I apologize. I'm probably going to look at a bunch of code. I'm probably not going to load code yet because I'll put it this way. I'm going to actually look into putting our website on the Loki net, right? We are, because crazy thing back in the day. So currently and we're gonna get back into this. When Keybase was mostly run by like hacker friends that we knew, when we had to do an in-person chat service when like Matrix temporarily died, we hopped over to Keybase, and unfortunately, feature creep came in, bloat came in, but most egregious was they were bought by Zoom, and then Zoom proceeded to go downhill and take Keybase with it. Early on, back then, when we were looking for alternatives, the people at Session actually reached out to us on our social media, like not as a bot, like the people who built the thing reached out and were like, "Hey, we heard about the whole Zoom thing with Keybase and how you're angry about that, and you're looking for a new platform. We just got started. Here's the website. You can take a look at it if you want to use it. That would be amazing. If you don't, we get that because it's really early on, and tell us like what is wrong. Why do you not want to go on this so we can improve the service?" And that impressed me personally, that like out of all the different privacy projects for messaging and stuff, that the Session people actually approached us. And I can actually tell you why early on we didn't switch to Session yet, and we're very much looking into being on Session. Back then, the group chat concept was like basically an alpha, and so it didn't really have any form. From what I understand now, we're going to look at it, the group section is now really well developed. So that's pretty neat. And the thing about DCG 201 is we have a bunch of public chats. We have an IRC, which we're, by the way, going to be voting on where we're going to be moving it to on our August 20th meeting. That's going to be semi-public when we try to get people's opinions on stuff. We have our Discord, which we mainly use for the CTF stuff, but it's a nice fallback thing, and hopefully one day we'll be able to link the IRC and Discord together. But we usually have an exclusive member and attendee thing where there is a private chat that only people who have physically shown up to the meetings can chat on. And because now we're meeting back up in person in these hybrid meetings, we want to kind of reboot and resume that. And so it seems like since a year, Session has more well developed, and now I'm highly interested in testing it out. But again, we're gonna take a look at that in a bit. So let's try to look. Let's go back to the website and look a bit into what Session is based on, which is Oxen. So let's see what they have to say. So I'm gonna read this as like a in the world thing, like Oxen is many things: a private cryptocurrency, a secure messaging platform, a network anomaly layer, tools to build a more private future for the internet. Our vision is to provide a range of tools and services powered by the $Oxen community cryptocurrency, enabling users and developers all over the world to leverage the power of decentralized blockchain networks to achieve unparalleled privacy and security as they work, play, and live their day-to-day lives on the internet. I will say overall, I'm glad someone's attempting to do this, but which is actually a good thing. I'll put it this way. Apple, right? Big major tech corp. I'm not saying Oxen is Apple, but I'm using Apple as an example. Did what we call professionally in the industry a dick move, right? Where never mind Intel, they tried to screw Intel over, but in reality they're trying to screw everyone over. Where they changed everything for their own chips. They were dropping I think what was it like? They were dropping like the Intel chips they had. They were moving over to ARM, and they were using their own custom ARM chips with M1. And yeah, I know we this is the sad cyberpunk future that nobody wanted. Where we have all the same problems that are in William Gibson's novels, but there's no people wearing really trench coats and like women and other femme people in like sexy leather outfits, and instead we have people like Mayor Taylor Green and stuff. So anyhow, um, where was I getting with this? So Apple came out and they changed everything to their own chips, and they locked down all of their phones, all of their tablets, all of their laptops, and we're like, "F you, Intel and hackers! You have to only go through us, and we're completely proprietary now, like 110%. Like we've now eclipsed Microsoft in the proprietariness." And all the hackers went, challenge accepted. And as you've seen with the hacker summer camp that just happened, everything about Apple has been blown wide open because they pissed off hackers. Their broadband 5G chip, communication chip, what is it called? The UX one has been hacked. The MX one's been hacked. Even the ear pods that people put in their ears have been blown wide open. The AirTags, everything has been blown wide open just because Apple was like, haha, you can't break into our system, hackers. We are all completely proprietary. And I'm not saying that Oxen is doing exactly that, but what I am saying is that because Oxen is trying to talk about, like, we are very private, we are going to be decentralized and private and have the best security, they're basically saying, bring on hackers. We want you to break in. And what I'm hoping that Oxen does, and it seems like they're doing, is that they're welcoming that. They want people to look through and try to find holes and report bugs and figure out weird ways around their system, so that, similar to what we experienced with Sessions when they reached out to us, I feel like they want to make things better for them. They want to learn from their mistakes, and let's hope that they do that and continue to do that. I'm going to check chat. Hey, Shady Man. Uh, Silly Apple, tricks are for kids. Yep, pretty much. And the Oxen doesn't. So Oxen is, we're talking about a cryptocurrency and blockchain tech. They're not a hacker group. Or I'm just talking about like hackers in general. Like DEF CON alone, like a third of all the talks was just about like breaking every single thing that Apple has done recently since they switched over to completely proprietary, like 110% proprietary stuff. So that's why I'm saying that by if you are an organization or you've developed a product and all you're talking about is like how secure and private and impenetrable the thing is, you are going to get hackers who attack you. You're basically begging to get attacked. And what I'm hoping for with Oxen, and it sounds like they are, is that they kind of it seems like they welcome that because they want to actually like harden their own system. So that should be pretty neat. Yeah, I know. The good thing is you've got me in the beginning here, so we haven't gone very far. Just to reiterate, what they're trying to say is that Oxen is they've built the coin's called Oxen, and then there's the actual blockchain itself, and it's supposed to be more private and decentralized. And hopefully, we're gonna take a look because I haven't done research beforehand on this. We're going in blind. If it, we'll do it live. We're gonna look into and try to figure out what supposedly makes this more private and secure. So as they say down here, Pulse is Oxen's proof of stake implementation. We've in the past couple episodes have talked about the different proofs, and that there's the two big ones is the OG one is proof of work, and the more new common one is proof of stake. I'm not going to go what those two are. You can go back in previous episodes of Crypto Barons to find this up. So this makes Oxen stakeable. It's foundation for the Oxen network here. There's also Oxen service nodes. I'm going to open that as its own thing. And they talk about, once again, their two big projects. And Blink, apparently, is Oxen's revolutionary instant anonymous payment mechanism. I almost read that as racism for some reason. Maybe it's a Freudian slip. Powering instant transactions with absolutely no privacy or security compromise, making Oxen's the world's first private coin with a no-compromise internet transaction. Again, we're going to look into and see if this is correct and what they're using. And so that's what they wrote here. Let's see here. Let me go back to chat. Wonder if they got crypto for pen and paper game players. Lock your character sheet. Well, it's funny because in the future, not right now, but in the future, one of the episodes that's on slate for Crypto Barons is we're going to be looking at Theta again, but we're going to be looking at, what is it called, Energy, and we're going to be looking at, I believe, what's called Wax. And basically, these are two cryptocurrency platforms where you can basically use their blockchain to make tokens to do things like what you say, such as the tokens representing like your RPG character or all of the items that you can microtransaction in a game so you can verify that they're yours, things like that. And we're going to be looking into cryptocurrency games in the future. It's just not this episode. Probably like maybe like November or December of this year, something like that. So let's see. So again, they bring up their stuff. Let's see, staking. Okay, so Oxen is apparently built on something called crypto note DNA. Let's see. The totally knowledge interactions fully fungible. I'm gonna stick a feather in that, and we're gonna actually open up a separate tab here, and I'm actually gonna try to search what crypto node DNA is. Note, I mean. So there is a GitHub for it. If I knew that, I would have forked over. Oh, here's another thing. I actually forgot to frickin' do this. So you know what I'm actually going to do here? Is we are going to take a look at this code here. But first we're going to make it big, like you do. Let's see here. Ooh, some of this stuff has not been updated in a while. That's already a concern. But let us go to let's go to the GitHub on DEFCON 201. Because if you are on Twitch, there should be a little node where you can open our GitHub without going onto without leaving our stream. And normally I put pins beforehand, but I completely forgot to do this right now. So what we're gonna do is Oxen, and I'm gonna pin the core. And then we also mirrored Loki net for this episode. So I'm saving these pins, and hopefully now in the widget, those will now pop up. We're going to go back a bit, take a look at this crypto note. Okay, so first I want to read how they describe it. Reference to the crypto note, and it has a website too, cryptocurrency protocol. Let's see, so obviously fork that over. You have to, okay, so you have to do it, you have to go in the configuration, name your own coins. This is something you incorporate in your own chain, and then you admission the logic here. It uses NIT64 with an equation. Let's see, by default I should add. The emission that curve, the difficulty target, which is the time period, as I said here. That's we covered this when we were developing, like when we made our own blockchain on the first episode, where you can actually do a timing limit between the blocks. The slower something is, usually the more time it has to computate, and obviously the faster, it's less computational. So it's like easier for it to hash, which means it can also potentially be easier to break. Now, unfortunately, when I brought up the website, nothing's come up for it, so again, that's a little concerning. I don't know if Oxen has forked this and like worked on it themselves, and maybe they have their own like open source, but in terms of building it like in-house proprietary version of Crypto Note. But that's what I'm hoping they're doing, because if you haven't updated your code in 6 years, that's kind of like that's a big red flag right there. And again, I'm not trying to diss Oxen. I'm just like, I haven't seen this yet. I've been looking at it. Apparently, the crypto note that is initially based off of C++, and obviously there's a CMake in order to build the thing a little. I don't know why they listed that there's no Perl and Python in it. Yay for no Perl, but like maybe there is one or two programs in here that are built in Python or Perl, but maybe there's only like one of each, and that's why it barely blips on the meter. Apparently less than the 0.2% of whatever the hell's out maybe in there. I don't know if they're using like Temple OS or Fortran or something. Or COBOL, there we go. But so that's what they're using for the privacy aspect about it. And apparently the two exchanges that you can use for Oxen is KuCoin and BitRX. And oh, by the way, a future episode of Crypto Barons is going to wow, I can't believe how many people are viewing right now. There's going to be a future episode of Crypto Barons where we are going to look at exchanges. We're going to review a bunch, and I'm going to show in the most private way possible how you use an exchange of many different types, including I want to eventually look at decentralized exchanges, which really do feel like you're in a back alley, like trading money or drugs or something. Oh, no. It's kind of, did you like hosted us or like rated us or something? Because that's pretty cool. Thank you for that, by the way. I do appreciate that, considering that, to be honest, Crypto Barons is. I love doing this show, and I love all the people because there's some crossover with Master of Unlocking and the people who come to our meetings virtually, but like it brings over a different crowd. That's why we do shows on different topics. We have one about hardware hacking and kind of software hacking, and another that's completely Linux and Arch Linux based with some gaming in it. It's called Archvile Linux Perspective. Like we do all these different things because it attracts different crowds. So thank you so much. Yeah, I heard about some stuff on the markets, but I don't know any details yet because I put it this way, I had a crazy night last night, and then I like overslept on a bunch of things. Which is probably why I didn't do much research beforehand on Oxen, to be honest. If you can talk, if you want to talk in chat of the crazy stuff in the markets, especially since I don't normally talk about markets for things where we look at the technology behind the stuff that builds the markets, go right ahead. I welcome that. And again, I love talking to you all in chat, but if you're also here to just learn some stuff, as I keep saying, keep lurking and keep learning. Also, if you like what you see currently, you can hit like, share, subscribe completely for free on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. When you do, I get notifications and cheer people on and all that fun stuff. And especially if you're on DLive. Remember, we're only two followers on DLive from, like, upgrading our account for free. And it's completely free to follow us, and you get notifications when we go on air, so it's great. Let's look at the staking system, and I'm going to quickly look at this in chat. It's got a ton of mine tokens on it. Ah, yes. You know what really freaking sucks? Thank you, by the way, for that. We are actually on mines. If you search DEFCON 201 or maybe even DCG 201 at this point, we are on mines. Because I overslept and I had to do a bunch of adulting today, I actually forgot to post that we're streaming right now on mines. We always post our main meetings and the Crypto Barons episodes on there because it seems to be the most relevant for that platform. I will say, though, that after the stream ends, I'm going to take the YouTube and PeerTube copy and we'll put it on our Minds. So if you want to join us on Minds.com, we do have a whole instance on there. So thank you for doing that and also sharing our Twitter. I appreciate that. In fact, if you are on Minds, you can reach out. You can message us. Again, I sadly don't have the URL that I can post in chat, but if you search for us, DEFCON 201 on Minds, you should be able to find the group and the profile. You can send us a message on there, and we'll follow you back. So just want to put that out there. So let's see. So you can stake on here. God, that just makes me hungry for steak. What happens if I click the steak now button? Okay, so we're going to look at some of the document stuff later. You can also contribute to a server node here. And you can also run your own node. This should be funny. So we'll get a look at that. I don't know if we're going to try to set one up because you usually need a certain amount of cryptocurrency in order to set up a node. But it should be really funny. Yeah, I want to. I'm actually have a pork chop and 2 chicken cutlets that I'm smelling right now. So definitely between I would say 9:30 and 10. I'm cutting this episode off and we're going. By the way, again, I would say that at 9:30, that's when we're going to drop the lemons. If you're watching on DLive and on Twitch, we're going to go raid another channel. So stay tuned. So let's see. So let's actually go over to their GitHub here and take a look at some of the stuff they're looking at. Let's look at Oxen Core. Just because I want to look more comprehensively at Oxen first, at least a little bit, before we go into their 2 big side projects, Session and Loki. I know, they make it, like when you send us lemons on DLive, we even have a notification for it where there's this guy with a lemon shooting out of his mouth. We have that clip from one of the Game Grumps episodes or whatever where they're like, yeah, lemons. And that because it's at least with Twitch they're using bits and it's a little generic, but at least that makes sense. It's like a gaming streaming platform. You use bits. Why does DLive use lemons? Maybe lemons to lemonade. I think of peeing jokes and the Trump tapes. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. I think they were still high at the time of PewDiePie coming to their platform, which they really should not have hinged everything on. Because I like DLive, to be honest. And by the way, the answer to that is when life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade and then find a guy or gal whose life has given them vodka and have a party. That's what you do. Thank you, Ron White, for that joke. All right, so this project at least is up to date. The oldest thing that they haven't updated is the include section. That's 4 years ago, but everything else is last month, 3 months, couple of months. Just sort of generic things here. Let's see. There's a vulnerability disclosure section on their GitHub, so that's neat. And it seems to be primarily targeting the Loki network. and they have a PGP key. I know a lot of people don't use PGP anymore for a bunch of obvious reasons, um, even though I still have them just in case people send me stuff. But yeah, so they do have a whole bug release. Again, it seems like they really want people to actually investigate their network and essentially hack them in order to like actually do better instead of CEOs running around pointing fingers at like poor people and stuff like that. Okay, so this is interesting that I didn't know. Apparently, Oxen's whole platform is based off of Monero. So basically, Oxen is a modified fork of the Monero project. That's interesting. So again, I'm kind of weird about the whole what was it called? The CryptPad or whatever the hell it's called. I keep wanting to say Cryptome. That they were using, so they must use a custom version, but I guess they've kind of bumped back up a bit if their base is Monero, and hopefully they're using like they're constantly like in the same way like when you fork a Firefox browser, you want to stay updated with usually like the ESR version of it, even though you have your own fork. Hopefully, they're staying up to date with the current core version of Monero, and then like maintaining the other Oxen stuff around it. PGP on a blockchain. Don't give people ideas. There's honestly like that wouldn't be too bad to be honest, even though it would be like mostly useless at this point, just like most shit coins. But like, there's a lot of worse ideas than that. I'm not even gonna say them on air of things that basically, in my opinion, blockchain is the new IoT. Where like IoT and Internet of Things are just like, why are they making IoT bottle caps? Why are they making IoT chastity belts? Why are they making IoT? Here's the crazy one recently. I'll share pictures of it later. I found an IoT grill. Like, it's a grill, it takes gas and charcoal, and the IoT is as a built-in something that communicates with your phone to use as the timer for cooking, which confuses me because we already have meat thermometers, and you can just either buy a timer or set it for free on your phone, like using your alarm system. So I don't know who that's for. I think they just wanted to jack up the price. Hilariously, it was on sale for $404. $404. I will share that picture later because I forgot that was there. What do you call it? Stable coins are basically monetizing rubber stamping, by the way. Um, yes, that's very much big dick energy. Let's see here. So here's a fork of Monero. So that is kind of fascinating there. So that makes me interesting. So there's a bunch of dependencies. So they have GCC, which I expect CMake, or put everything together. Boost, PKG config, using OpenSSL. Let's see, libsmq, which I honestly don't know what it is. Unfortunately, they're using SQLite. They're using SQLite 3. A bunch of libs. There's just so much libs here that it might as well be the Democratic National Convention. They're using XBacked, Doxygen. Honestly, I can now see in ProTalk, I can actually see like over half of this stuff is stuff that's in Monero in the first place. So I can actually see more of like the Monero thing. I'll put it this way: broke. My grill has IoT. Woke. My girl is IoT. Huh? Or guy. That's gonna be a thing. Um, so it seems like to build this, like most blockchain projects, you need either a Linux operating system or a Linux subsystem. There, we're not building it because in the past when we've tried to build stuff before, it takes goddamn forever. So you could build on Mac or Linux OS. Do they have a Windows version? You can build on a Raspberry Pi. Yep, and they have Windows. See, binaries for Windows are using Windows using the Mini WD2 chain, and of course the MSY S2 environment, which we've used in the past. It emulates a POSIX system, and basically it's Arch Linux for Windows. That's what it is. We use Pac-Man and everything for it. Again, we're not going to build it because the stream will go insane and then eventually crash or something. And you can build on FreeBSD, OpenBSD. You can build on Solaris. Dear Lord, you can build this thing on anything. And you can just build it Linux for Android using Docker. That's fascinating. I could spin up our Android. We have an Android emulator on the computer here, so I don't have to constantly show people my phone and stuff like that and dox myself. But that's interesting that you can use Linux for Android using Docker, which I assume you like load up Termux or something like that. That would be very interesting to do, and you can also apparently build this the portable version using linked binaries and cross compile, or install from package. You run the program. This is fascinating here. Okay, I can again because the fact it runs everything. Monero also runs on pretty much everything, so I can kind of see the use here. You can build it on that. You can probably build it on Temple OS. You can build it on Haiku. Actually, I should ask Cell if you can build it on Haiku. If not, maybe we'll contribute and make a Haiku version. Who knows? I'll like torture him with that. I pay him money or something. Yes, you can build it over IoT from Android on Docker, on Linux, on a Windows subsystem for like. Yeah, I know. It's like everything now is like this crazy Russian doll of like stuff one eternity later. Yep, pretty much. Um, so now that we've looked a bit into Oxen itself, let's look at the two main side projects here. Again, this is going to be a shorter stream. That seems to be the pattern. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I'm going to reiterate this at the end. I probably should have covered all the cryptocurrency stuff on DEF CON for this episode, but I already decided on this topic, and this is really cool. I'm fascinated by this. Um, the next episode, if everything goes right, we're going to do a late coverage of all the cryptocurrency stuff going on at DEF CON, which includes the blockchain village, the cryptocurrency village, and the payment village, because all that stuff should be properly up there online. And then next month, we're going to be doing more, like, we're actually going to do coding and comprehensive guides and hardware and stuff in September all the way to the rest of the year. So this will be our last kind of, like, armchair analysis sort of thing for a while, to be honest. Although don't quote me on that because we might have one of these in November, but I'm hoping when we do armchair analysis stuff in the future, we'll be able to get people on those projects to actually do like interview conversations with us. So this should be pretty neat. Let's look at their two other projects here. So the first project we're going to look at, this is Session. This is basically like if Slack was actually good in respect of your privacy here. So Session, I love how they do like this like blockout thing. It's an end-to-end encrypted messenger that mimics that minimizes sensitive metadata design and built for people who want absolute privacy and freedom from any surveillance. I will say they should have just said want increased privacy and freedom from various surveillance, because I think wording absolute privacy and freedom and any form of surveillance, again, I've seen so many good projects that basically they made huge claims like that and then they crashed and failed when like hackers or even worse state actors, just whether it's through computer hacking or policy or both, just tear that down. So I would change the wording on that. So here's some of the benefits. You don't need a phone number. This has been, I mean, Signal has a bunch of new problem stuff. See a couple of episodes ago when we talked about how they're sold out to another cryptocurrency. I'm thinking it was a really great episode. I love the guy that I brought on. So you don't, most of these like Signal use a phone number. I used to point to Wicker as one of the only ones where you don't use a phone number. I don't anymore because now they were bought by Amazon, like literally like a week and a half ago. So screw that. I literally deleted Wicker off my phone right when that happened. And so in addition to Briar, which to me might be the more like if you're like an activist or like actively being hunted by like the FBI or something, you would use Briar. But if you want like basically a Matrix like or Slack type thing, but you don't want to use your phone number, Session will do that for you because you don't need a phone number, because I'm assuming they're using the Oxen token to generate your user name and stuff. This is why we're not going to load the program on here, because if I do it on here, I'll probably be just stuck on this laptop and I wouldn't be able to move my profile around. I'm just assuming that. I have to do more research on this. So according to them, now here's the problem. They shouldn't be saying no data breaches. They should be saying no results from data breaches, because companies can cease and desist on this. The FBI can like raid them and stuff. But according to them, Session does not collect data, which means that when they do get raided, there's nothing to show for it. It's kind of like DEF CONs in the past, except for this year, where because you normally have to pay the badge in cash, they've had issues with DEF CON, the convention, in the past, where like something happened and a three-letter agency was like, we need all the data on all the people that attend your convention, and they logistically can't give that over because they have no data on it. It's entirely done through cash. You show up, you hand over a wad of cash, they hand you the badge. There is no names on the badges. No one buys this with their credit cards. That obviously changed this year, where you can buy a lot of these badges in advance because of the hybrid nature of the meetup, things like that. I don't know if they accepted cryptocurrency at that. I'm not sure. So let's see. So they're using Tor Onion routing. So they say no footprints and no trace. I would say using a masked and uh, a masked profile, essentially. So I don't would say I will never I wouldn't ever say that Tor you leave no trace, but it's a lot better than using the ClearNet, and it's better than a lot of the other options out there, to be honest, except for like custom garlic routing. It is open source, and by the way, it's really fascinating that they use the open source business logo as opposed to the like Free Software Foundation logo or something, or GNU. I'm like, gee, I wonder why. Anyhow, and accordingly, it's censorship resistance because according to them, they're advertising there's no central point of failure, so it's really hard to shut sessions down. Again, that's probably because of the blockchain. They're using a decentralized backend blockchain, which is the Oxen blockchain. So yeah, this is the thing that we're going to look into, because we are going to look into this, is there's group chats. And if I remember correctly, originally with the group chats, you could only have 20 people in your group chat. And this time now you can have a closed group. Um, so you can do a closed group or an open group. So we might do both. And for a closed group, you can have 100 friends. And I honestly doubt we will ever have 100 members at DCG 201, especially since we try to keep the membership locally with a couple of certain honorary members for like people who have come to our meetings and done really great stuff that live somewhere else. So that's why now we're more interested in this, because they immensely upgraded the group chat function. There's also you can do voice messages on there, and you can send attachments that are apparently, according to them, encrypted. So that's sort of their whole thing there. They wrote an entire white paper on this that goes on forever. It's called Session, a model for end-to-end conversations with minimal metadata leakage. And I'm actually going to share both of these URLs. This is the session URL, so if you want to look into this yourself, you can do that. And I'm actually going to look up something in a moment, and here's the white paper for it. Because I don't know if Sessions is now listed on privacytools.io. That should be very, 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 very interesting here. So let's actually go to privacy. Go to privacytools.io, which I actually haven't gone to yet in this browser, which is why I have to switch it to dark mode. And I'm going to post them in here. So if you need anything that is truly open source, audible, and simple, you can audit it because it's open source and is the most privacy respecting and resistive stuff on a scale from like, decent privacy to like ass and Edward Snowden and being hunted. PrivacyTools.io is your guide. They have it for everything. You can find you can get an operating system. You can find software. You can get a good web browser. They have their own tools and services. So they have their own search engine, their own Mastodon interest, their own dot matrix, their own discourse, their own PeerTube, which I didn't know before we found Diode Zone, but I honestly would have gone with Diode Zone anyhow. Write freely if you want to write blogs, and their own Pastebin that is all private and open source. And they also have providers for different services, so you can look up the best VPN, the best and worst VPNs, email services, DNS, cloud storages, search engines, social networks, all of that. So what I'm interested in is I'm looking in the software. And let's see here. So real-time communication. I just want to see if Sessions is listed now. So they still list Signal, which is fine, and they have warnings like requires phone number, and they list the advantages and disadvantages. And it's very, very interesting because they used to have a lot of advantages here and like one or two disadvantages, and like everything's shipped over. There's like two advantages, which is, it's easier to use, and then bad stuff. So that's like a centralized one. Then there's federated, so they have Element, which is a form of dot matrix. And then peer-to-peer with Briar and Jami, breaking E2 ECC on instant message. Let's see. Video calling, they list Line Phone, Jitsi Meet, and Mumble. Team chat platforms, they have Element and Rocket Chat, which I still recommend Rocket Chat. And Sessions is not listed on here yet. I should, wait a minute, let's look down here. Independent security audits, Briar, Matrix. Yeah, and there's no, let's see, related information, Torfine Mumble. Yeah, I don't see session anywhere. I don't know if anyone... They have status on here, ironically enough, which is something we're going to look at later in the episode. Thank you for sending 2 followers, Sheka and J1. And by the way, save your stuff for sending followers, dead serious. Like, thank you for doing that now. If you can attend virtually, because I'm assuming you're not in Jersey City, so you can't attend virtually, forward all of our shit on August 20th, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is when we need eyeballs on everything. Like, for real. Like, I'm very honored that you're sending them during our show, but, like, we're going to post our meeting details later on. You're going to see it on Minds.com. You're going to see it on Twitter or Mastodon, Instagram, everything. And thank you, Arcs ID. I hope I pronounced your handle correctly on Twitch. Thank you for following us. Hi out there. Like, our meeting is where we get the most amount of views, and we can always use more eyeballs on that. But yeah, I just went to privacytools.io, and they don't list sessions on here. They do have a Reddit where they talk about stuff, so I'm kind of interested in how like if their session has been brought up, and I want to know if there's a reason why they haven't put it up yet, or if they're still arguing it, and that's why it's not up there. Hi, DarkSense 1789. It's really, thank you for following us on Twitch. It's really funny because I read that because there's a creepy guy called DarkSim905 that everyone, including us, have kicked out a while back, and so I almost read it as that. So hopefully you're not a clone of him, but regardless, welcome to here. Yay, thank you for that. And again, if on August 20th at 6 p.m. you can start doing that with our live stream, that would be great. But yeah, it's not listed on privacytools.io, so I'm going to check out on Reddit later and see. I'm not going to do it on the stream now and see why. And by the way, at 9:30, that's probably when we're going to cut off this episode. We're going to, on Twitch, raid another stream. And if you're on DLive, that's when I'm going to send the lemons out to everybody. Because again, we're only 2 followers on DLive away from upgrading our account for free. And you can follow us for free on any of our platforms, including DLive. I appreciate all the follows so far, particularly on Twitch, but just putting that out there. And hi all the new users so far. Let's see. Yeah, so we're gonna, again, I'm gonna do more research on this later, and who knows, maybe I'll do a follow-up episode with Sessions where we'll probably do an entire episode on it if we finally decide to use it internally at DCG 201 and figure out how it works and stuff. Of course, again, there's a white paper that goes on forever about Sessions here, and it's like in all these different sections here. So let's see. What are they talking about? Service nodes. So and what's interesting is, so what I've read so far too, I'm like scanning this, they use Tor to pass everything through, and I think this might be intrinsic to this. I think Loki also uses onion routing through Tor, so this should be really fascinating here. Let's see. It's message storage. Let's see. So they probably store the messages in the chain along with the usernames. Yeah, its backend is Loki, and I think Loki uses some Tor onion routing. And speaking of Loki, let's actually go and look at that. So this is LokiNet. Let's see if we can zoom in even more. Their whole thing is basically, from what I understand, like some sort of browser, probably similar to, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a modified version of Tor browser, where you're allowed to browse internet websites more privately and more securely, and similar to, apparently, like Tor and I2P, they have their own websites. Let's see, so they list here, it's a decentralized network because they're using Oxen as its backend, which means that once you put something up there, it's on there forever as long as one person is looking at it or hosting it, it's not going away. They're using onion trafficking, and you can look at our episode in October where we looked at, it came from the dark web, as well as the it came from the dark web in like the various cryptocurrencies using Tor and stuff, and we explain how Tor and I2P works. And there's no IP address because they're probably looking at the address where your block is on the chain itself. And because of the Tor routing, because it's going to go through 3 nodes also, they don't know what your IP address is. So that's a bonus. Let's see, censorship resistant. Cross-platform, it's on Mac OS, Windows, and Linux, and mobile clients are currently in development. And apparently it's really easy to use. Let's look at their frequently asked questions page. Again, normally we run code and stuff, and we might try to at one point. But this is probably going to be the last of the episodes where we just armchair look at a bunch of stuff. Behind 7 boxes. You mean physically you have boxes in front of you, or detail what you mean by you're behind 7 boxes, because I'm curious but also confused, which is to me the best type of. That's basically DCG 201 in a nutshell. We're constantly confused and curious at the same time. So what you can do with LokiNet. All the things that you can do on the normal internet, apparently you could do here, which basically they're like, take that GNU net. See, how is it different from Tor? Well, Tor and LokiNet are both onion routers. They're both different at protocol infrastructure levels. Tor relies on, volunteer operated relays. It says central directory authorities. My nose is going crazy. This infrastructure, has a lot of weaknesses and limitations because Tor circuit moderation is bandwidth weighted. You're more likely to use high bandwidth nodes than low bandwidth nodes, which means a large percent of the Tor's 7K nodes are underutilized due to having insufficient bandwidth. They also have to use directory authorities. So instead of relying on volunteers, Loki leverages the Oxen service node network, because Oxen service node network operators were required to provide high quality nodes and are actively incentivized to do so. Loki's relay network is constant and reliable. That's interesting. So basically, you need, again, it's like the stake nodes. You need a certain amount, so those are the only nodes that exist. Which honestly, that might mean there's probably a smaller pool of nodes. That's probably the disadvantage they're not listing. But yeah, heard the market-based Sybil attack resistance of the Oxen blockchain. Sybil attack resistance. Let's look that up on a separate thing. The Tor system of centralized directory authorities. Loki stores the state of the service network node on the block. So that's what they serve as the actual list. That's interesting. Oh, behind 7 proxies. Okay, that meme. All right. Just curious about that. Yeah. Let's see. LokiNet is more private than Tor. LokiNet has more limited anonymity set due to have few active users than Tor, which makes sense, as well as active nodes, likewise. So Sybil attack resistance. Let's see what they say here. The Tor network relies on all volunteer operated relays. As a result, the network is there's something as a Sybil attack, where the attacker initializes a large number of malicious nodes. Oh, this is basically a 51% attack, but with Tor, where basically you poison enough nodes that basically if you have slightly control over the majority of the nodes, you basically own most of the network, essentially. And this is how they do traffic. This is how world governments like the CIA and the FBI and NSA snooping on stuff. So Loki's financial costs, they're trying to argue, requiring service nodes to stake a certain amount of Oxen before able to register. But my question is, what prevents government agencies from building a shit ton of Loki and putting their one node on there? Because even though it's only one node, I mean, you can find that node and potentially block it, but that still has them access to like the rest of the network. Picture of Boxy on it. Yep, there we go. I'm Boxy Brown. You remember that from Aqua Teen Hunger Force? And let's see, because of the small set of central directory authority servers, they're compromised and would endanger the entire network. Because Oxen's this decentralized blockchain network, which I'm still trying to figure out how it's decentralized, besides the fact that it's a blockchain, which has a certain degree of blockchain by itself has a certain degree of decentralizations. But there are stable coins you can make, as we've seen with like DM from Facebook. You can make a blockchain highly centralized, like horrifically so. And then they use the ONS network, which basically is DNS, but with blockchain, similar to when we looked at the episode for Namecoin, which Namecoin is used by ZeroNet, which I have to update at some point because that one's horribly behind. See what protocols they use. They LARP. They use low latency anonymous routing protocol. They are LARPers. They are LARPers on Loki. I'm going to let chat make up those jokes. Some of these shitcoins are just buzzwords. Yeah, no. They are. Oxen, again, I know people use Session. I've heard of people use LokiNet, so apparently this is a real thing, and it's actual thing, because we looked at the coin market cap earlier, and we can actually reload it. Is very close to $1, and at one point it was actually $2, so it is healthy. People use it. It's a real thing. It's just, I'm kind of like using my super big analytical brain here. That was a sarcasm, by the way. And just like kind of picking it apart right now. Loki is enough to protect my privacy while on the internet. Using Loki's exit nodes, all traffic from your computer can be unrouted over Loki. Your internet service provider may be able to see you are accessing LokiNet, but they won't know what websites you're looking at. Let's see. No idea. Again, my figuring, Shady Man, is that I would not be surprised if because originally it was called Loki. The coin itself was called Loki, and LokiNet was their big project. And then they changed it to Oxen. I legit would not be surprised if Disney sent a bunch of lawyers with mouse ears after them because they're that crazy. Again, look up the story about how they changed for the mouse on Hamas's TV channel because of Disney. It involves Hamas, mercenaries, and Disney. It's insane. Um, let's see here. Thor Chain's token is wrong. I'm gonna have to look that up later there. Maybe it's related. I don't know. Again, we're going in this blind. This is how I usually do research before the episode, so it's pretty interesting. How do you use Loki and that? Use it over here. You download the Loki client for your platform and follow the easy steps to enable Loki. I would not be surprised if it's basically a fork of the Tor browser, but it's just running through Loki itself. They talk about how it's not a VPN the same way how Tor is not a VPN. Loki better than a VPN? Yes, by virtue because it's using onion routing. Which browsers? Oh, okay. So it seems like Loki actually apparently runs in the background, similar to I2P, and then you just run it in browser. I don't know if maybe you have to configure the network settings on your browser to talk to it. So that's interesting. I'm kind of curious about how that works now. Let's see. Hopefully this is not like a Rick Ashley thing. Thorchain.org. Huh. I'll have to look at this in the future. Thank you for bringing that up. For some reason, I didn't know this existed. This will be a future Crypto Barons episode. I will totally look at it. And apparently, they've been hacked before, so this should be hilarious. So, bookmarking this. Thank you, everybody. So let's go back to their FAQ. Applications. Yeah, because it's in the background, any application. So it works like Tor, but there's no like Tor browser with it. So it's basically, from what I understand, it's probably basically works the same way as like I2P, but with an actual user interface that's not a big pain in the ass to use. Oh, I didn't say I'm open to Rick rolls. I said that I hope it wasn't. Okay? Don't send me those. Who made LokiNet? That reminds me, one of the future episodes is I have to load up this. I already made this fortified VPN to do this episode where we're going to look at something that looks really promising on paper, but is really also sketchy as fuck on paper. So, how can you support LokiNet? Oh, so snaps, SN apps or snaps. What is a snap? So snaps are private, secure, and hidden web applications. So they basically have their own version of dApps or DApps or decentralized applications. Usually this means websites like the one you're accessing right now. And apparently all snaps have a internet address ending in .loki. So that's fascinating. Whenever anyone access a snap through LokiNet, the anonymity built user on the server. Again, I'm interested in putting our website on here. I'm just kind of curious because we've put stuff on lesser networks before. We actually have to do a vote recently where like we're still putting more stuff like out there on decentralized and dark web networks, but we probably gonna have to put a vote again because it's such a big pain in the ass to do if we even want to put stuff on I2P anymore. I don't even know if I2P even fully works. Thor node is full of mythos. Again, I'm gonna look at that as a future episode. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm gonna totally look that up. So there's even a question of snaps like DApps. Although Loki is decentralized, snaps are not decentralized applications. They are central servers just like any other website. So the app itself is centralized, but the Loki network is interesting. That could actually be a point, like a surface area to attack on, where you attack the snap itself instead of the Loki net, especially if they're poorly coded. Snaps are similar to hidden Tor services and are hosted on servers by users. This basically feels like a fusion of like the Tor browser, I2P, and ZeroNet all rolled into one. And to be honest, anything's better than GNU-net at this point. So that's the LokiNet that kind of backs everything. So that's really interesting. And so I guess we're going to jump back to this documentation page here that exists. Let's see. Let's look at their roadmap really quick before we go anything. So let's see. So they initiated Pulse last year when everything was nuts. Let's see. So this is kind of a confusing dev roadmap here, to be honest. Oxen name service works. Ledger wallet. Oh, so here we go. So there's like a tree down here. Code wallet, removal, looking at integration. So that's the roadmap for sessions, and then the roadmap for LokiNet. Exit nodes were completed next year. The ton code seat factor. That was completed. I want to look that one up. Let's actually type that right now. Ton code. What was it called again? SCE Fractor. Okay. No idea what that is. That to me that sounds like lunar excursion monitor. Oh, so it's a version of code refracting. Okay, that's all that is apparently. That makes sense. Um, Apparently they're still working on mobile versions. Supports using a VPN API. So even though they're not VPN, I guess they're modifying an open source VPN mode. It's probably like OpenVPN. That's interesting. LokiNet as a library they're working on. That's interesting. That is very interesting. So they have a separate roadmap for Oxen, Session, and Loki. That's kind of fun. What does Explorer do? I'm gonna have to look at that later. So you can like run a whole service node here. Let's see this guide. Let's make this bigger. Enhance. Guide will walk you through the process. And so again, we're not running it too because no, you have to in order to run a node, you have to be running Ubuntu or Debian, have 30 gigabytes of storage and 2 to 4 dedicated. This would be if we ever try to run nodes in the future. We actually have a more powerful laptop. But actually, what's going to happen is I think that powerful laptop is going to become the new, possibly the new streaming laptop. Basically, we're going to have one laptop for streaming as well, but streaming, and one for doing this type of stuff where we have to use a lot of storage, RAM, or use the graphics card. Because like we can compile on here, but only like certain test networks and stuff. But we're going to use a separate computer, so that way it uses its own resources and it's on its own internet connection and doesn't screw up the internet connection or resources on here. I just want to kind of look at what you would do here for full node and what you would need to do. So the service nodes receive, store, and forward encrypted session messages. They also route low-key internet traffic, and they monitor service nodes and vote on their performance, so they do have a voting protocol. They use the Blink transactions, which they have their own page, and produces the whole Pulse system, which I guess we'll look at in a moment. So what you need here is a stable, relatively fast connection, 100 Mbps or less, which we probably definitely have way less of. A minimum of 2 gigabytes of RAM to run the service node software reliably, and at least 30 gigabytes of storage space used to store a local copy of the entire blockchain. That's definitely going to increase as time goes on. Redundant power is found in most data centers. If your server goes down when staked, your service node could be kicked off the network, and you could have your funds locked for 30 days. Ooh, that is harsh. Understandably harsh, but still harsh. We strongly recommend against running a service node from home. Again, that's why we're not running it. Most home internet connections are relatively slow. So what's kind of odd about this is, so basically, the only two groups I can think of that could actually run, three groups that could actually run this are giant activist groups, which is best case scenario. But this sounds like basically in order to run a service node on Oxen, you either have to work for Oxen itself, which means A, you're a giant corporate entity, or B, you're a giant crime syndicate. Because to me, those would be the only people outside of activists as activists, which there are very few of, to be honest. Everyone does activism, but there's few like actual activists, or even hacktivists that would have the resources to even host this. This is probably why most of the stuff is probably internally at Oxen itself. To prepare your server, let's see. Each provider has different. To access your server, you'll need an SSH client for your operating system. Because we're on Windows today, great, they assume you're on Windows. They're going to do PuTTY. Mac users can also use PuTTY. If you're a Linux user, you probably don't need us to tell you where to get an SSH client. Okay, that was funny. It's like, hey, if you're on Linux, you already know how to break into NASA and stuff, you're good. Connect to a VPS, you need to paste the provide IP address in the SSH client, host name or IP address, input box, click open. Port number can usually be left as 22. A terminal window will now appear prompting you for log details, the username, root, and password, and your VPS provider. Entering your password characters will not appear in the terminal, obviously for safety stuff. Hot tips for using the console on Windows. Server preparation continue. So obviously they want you to update, upgrade. You should always be updating, upgrading, and auto-removing, which they left out every time you use like a Linux or Unix-based system. You have to configure your firewall, so there's different ports for different things for the storage server, the client storage, blockchain syncing, the Quakers, the Bakers, the candlestick makers, all of that. Let's see, and then you do a whole curl to download the whole Oh, so you first need to, they're using GPG as the verification, so that's the initial repository setup, and then that allows you to actually get the deb in order to get the, there's different tag names here, to get the actual repository itself. And then you install, once you have the repository synced up and installed, which you update again, you install the Oxen service nodes, which will be on that repository, otherwise you couldn't get it. And then you're using goddamn systemd here to restart the service, and then it's running. You can check the status of it. Okay, so that's kind of how this works. And you have to put some wallet, individual staking. It seems like once you get past this point, it's pretty like this is what most nodes are. Is there's just a ridiculous high-end ceiling requirement for it. So let's look at this Blink stuff here. What's going on? Because when I think of Blink, I used to work in video games. There's an actual video encoder thing that's still used today called Blink. So that's what I think of. Let's see. So it's an instant payment mechanism. Now, what I imagine this is like is there's a lot of these type of things. Probably the most famous one is for Dash, where we looked at its like instant transaction fees, and the first pioneer of trying to speed up blockchain services is Litecoin. So that's that whole thing there. Let's see, leveraging the Oxen service node network to confirm transactions before they've entered into the blockchain. Ooh, that's both risky and interesting, while maintaining privacy, anonymity, and security. Again, they're using crypto note. So it's how Blink works. Normal Oxen transactions are sent to a pool of unconfirmed transactions where they sit until randomly selected for inclusion to the new block. We've covered this in previous episodes. This could take several minutes. If you're on Bitcoin, it takes like 5 years. So with Blink, let's see, transactions make a few extra stops along the way to the... Is it really called the mempool? They called it the mempool, the mempoll. Well, I'd rather be in the mempool than either Timpool or Pool 2, if you get those jokes. But let's see. Paradoxically, the extra step stops make the transaction effectively instant. So here's what happens. So apparently, Blink transaction is sent into 2 quorums. We covered these on the security coins episodes in last October. Randomly selects a group of 10 Oxen server nodes. Okay. So the quorums check the transaction for legitimacy. This probably takes a minute. Malicious or individual transactions, which they list as duplicates of previous transactions or attempt to spend Oxen when it does not to be long, aka double spending, are denied. Valid transactions are confirmed by the quorum. Sender and receiver receive the transaction confirmation, and then Blink transactions pass to the meme pool for inclusion in the blockchain. So basically, it does a pre-verification system before it lets it into the blockchain. So how's that work? Instead of confirming it when it's on the chain itself. I prefer the Deadpool. At least Deadpool is funny, you know? As opposed to like Tim Pool and Pool 2. I mean, Tim Pool's kind of funny. It's fun to laugh at, but he's not a funny person of himself. What's more funny about him is conspiracy theories and what underneath his hat, which is either another Tim Pool or like Lindsey Graham. It's gonna be one of those 2 people. So let's see. So let's look at Pulse, which is their proof of stake, or I'd like to call it piece of shit on Oxen. Let's see. So Pulse is the proof of stake mechanism. Now we covered proof of stake in Path. Oh, God, I want a steak right now. I hate when I cover proof of stake. I want to eat a proof of stake. I'm the proof of stake. I cut off a piece of the steak and I put it in my mouth, chew on it, and swallow it. It's great. Let's see. So, they talk about what we've covered. Okay, so basically, from what it sounds like, is that it's literally just a default proof of stake. They just called it Pulse because they made their own proof of stake. But there's nothing, it seems like, that differentiates itself from the other ones, although they have a deep dive section. So we click on that and see if we could find something that's different on here. Every 120 seconds, the active Oxen node service is chosen. Create a new candidate block. This is one true service node creates candidate blocks set by 11 random. It seems they really love. I mean, most chains use random, but they really love the number 11 right there. That's like a conspiracy. Next, the Pulse is both difficult and unprofitable to attempt to attack an Oxen network at the core of any blockchain. Security mechanism is a consensus mechanism. We've covered this in past episodes. Critical attacks, let's see. So it really does seem like its possible virtue is literally that it's just a proof of stake. It seems like it's a default proof of stake. It's the same things where it's much more sustainability with power consumption and resistance against certain attacks that only work on proof of work, which used to be the super common one. the fault tolerances and stuff like that. So it really just seems like a normal proof of stake. I'll put the link in the chat for if you want to do your own research. And we're going to end this episode in like 10 minutes, by the way. Except, yes, there's other... Well, I'll put it this way. I'd rather have a steak in my mouth than other odd things that people could try to draw entering my mouth. But I just entered the deep dive URL in there if you want to take a look at this, because it really just does seem like a normal proof of stake. It's just they built it themselves and they named it Pulse. So in order to do this proof of stake, you have to open the Oxen GUI wallet. You enter the password. You let it sync. Yep. You click the service node button. On this step, you need to enter the service node public key, which you can obtain on Oxen blocks, which sounds like a cool name. It sounds like Legos that you own. Once that fill out, you hit the stake button, and it's done. So cool, because a lot of times when you do proof of stake stuff, it opens up its own terminal, and you have to put its own coding languages, but I guess that's not the case here. Let's look at... Oh, okay, so this is the Blockchain Explorer. I don't know why... Let's go back at the website. Yeah, I don't see the Explorer listed. They have a media kit that I probably should have downloaded earlier, but yeah, it's like they... I don't know why the Blockchain Explorer was buried in here. I'll post the link of it in chat. Again, this is the way I usually do when I do research beforehand. So this is all the service nodes and the access service nodes, and it's thick. It goes on forever. Let's go back to the original thing here, and of course you can look up different, like the hash. If you know the height or the hash or the transaction ID or the public key for the service node, you can look it up on here, and we can click on it. It actually, I wonder if we could, because for a while back when we covered, back in May, we did a VR episode looking at Decentraland and this like virtual reality viewer that visualizes blockchains in 3D and VR. I'm actually wondering if we could put these in here, because it is based off of Monero, and see if we can actually visualize those chains. I'm not doing it now, but I'd be very curious to look into that. And then probably one of the last things we're going to be looking at. Oh, so I did open the Blockchain Explorer. I just didn't notice, I guess. No, so there's two URLs. There's a Loki blocks, and then there's another that's Oxen.observer. So they have two URLs pointing out the same thing, probably because of the name change. They didn't update anything, so that's kind of odd and weird. A little bit of hangover there and confusing. But let me look through here. Let's see. Service nodes. Just trying to see if we missed anything. Oh, this is, by the way, the wallet. Not only... I originally thought when I saw Oxen, I thought, is this like they're doing like a women's program for Oxen? But nope, this is just what they call the wallet. The small W stands for wallet, not women, unfortunately. And apparently you can, this does like the swapping between the two ETHs, so you can change from Oxen to that, back and forth. Let's see what it says about here. The Oxen is a blockchain project that allows users to trade, blah, blah, blah. In order to provide users with greatest access to Oxen, the Oxen Foundation, which I haven't found a website for yet, is providing a wrapping service with support and oversight by the Oxen Foundation. Let's see here. Walk it in my pocket. There's a Woxen in my pocket. Yeah. If we ever cover this again, I'm going to use that. There's a Woxen in my pocket. And I'll credit you for that, Shady Man. Hilarious. We're going to wrap up in like 5 minutes. We'll do the lemons in a moment. Around like 3 to 5 minutes. So how does it work? Woxen is minted under the oversight. So from what I understand, Woxen, I guess, is an adjacent coin to Oxen. And let's say wrapped Oxen or Woxen. Okay, so it's wrapped, you know, because we want to play safe. You know what you do when you want to play safe? You wrap it. ERC20 compatible token by the Oxen Foundation. Okay, so this makes sense. So Oxen's based off of Monero, which, if I remember correctly, is incompatible. Yep, gotta wrap it up with ETH. So they made a wrapped version of it that is based off of Ethereum, and that's why they have a website where you can swap between the two directly. So it's like a translation bridge. See, and they use their own smart contract for wrapped Oxen or Woxen. A smart contract, direct copy of the highly audited WBCT smart contract with minor changes. I haven't looked up. Actually, let's look that up right now. This is like some like word salad right here. What the do they mean by this? Let's see. They seem to have their own website. Let's see if we can load it. Wrap Bitcoin delivers the power of Bitcoin and flexibility of ERC token. Oh, okay, so they fusion dance together. See, this is weird because I do know a lot about cryptocurrency stuff, but I didn't even know all this stuff. I guess I was asleep at the wheel for like a month or two. Like, what the hell? Them on wrapped oxen. I like that. That's cool. Maybe we should make a wrap for wrap oxen and send it over to the Oxen Foundation. That'd be hilarious. BTC brings a greater liquidity to Ethereum ecosystems, including decentralized exchanges, aka DEXs, which we're going to cover in a future episode, financial applications. Okay, so this is crazy. So the WPTC apparently, and we'll have to cover this on a future episode. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to add all of these to my list of topics that we cover on the show. So what they do is this is taking Bitcoin and wrapping it in an ERC20 shell off of the Ethereum. So you can create smart contracts for Bitcoin. So you're using the Ethereum smart contract system for Bitcoin. And I guess for wrapped oxen, because that's Monero, is that they're using this system, but instead of wrapping Ethereum to Bitcoin, they're essentially wrapping it to their own custom version of Monero. That is how many Russian dolls have we gone through so far, or Russian agents at this point? Dear God damn it. Again, this is the type of research I normally go through before I got here, where it's like, oh, it's this and this the other thing, and I'm the smartest one, like what a lot of lockpickers do. And that's why I decided, hey, I'm just going to go in blind live, because one, I ran out of time, and two, we can discover things together, and it's nice to, this is how we react in real life, of me, like, looking up that sort of stuff. Let's see. Missing a space between it and... Oh, wait, on their website or something I typed? Because I can share you their website. Let me know if they made a spelling mistake, because I will totally email that. The website, okay. Point out, how about this? Go to the website, right? Whatever the one is, screenshot the spelling mistake and tell us what it is. And you can email us at defcon201.org. Oh, we can find it in the thing. Okay, so easier. Okay, I'll go look that up. So I'm going to guess it's on the WBTC, so let's see. Oh, wow, it's right on here. Yep. Oh, boy. Like, sometimes we make the most hilarious spelling and grammar mistakes, but this is supposed to be like a professional spark. Yeah. I'm going to send that over to them. I'm probably going to clip this separately. There it is. And one of our, thank you, Shady Man. You pointed out there is a grammar mistake right on the Wrapped Bitcoin website here. That's hilarious. I can't wait to go back and do all of that. So I originally just thought this was the wallet. So they do have the normal Oxen wallet on here. And then I guess they have all this... Okay, liquidity mining. What the... So you connect a wallet to that. I guess maybe... Oh, because it's Ethereum. I bet you they use MirrorMask or something. Let's see. Liquidity mining program. I bet you anything they use MirrorMask. And then this is like the swap between the two itself. Little unicorn popping up. Because this is Uniswap. We're going to also look at Uniswap in a future episode. There's a lot of episodes we're going to be looking at until the end of the year. And you can view the Ethereum smart contract itself, which is right here on Etherscan. I will share that in the chat. We're almost done, by the way. Like, one more minute. Not even. And, yeah, so far, I think that's all the stuff I think I've been able to find for Oxen. So, to go back to their OG website, to kind of sum it up here, Oxen, from what we have learned during our research that we've done together, is a supposedly more secure, let's look at downloads, is a more secure, privacy and security focused, not only cryptocurrency, which is Oxen itself, but its blockchain, which is based on Monero. It's its own fork of Monero that has an insta-send system and its own proof of stake, and they want to essentially be like the Ethereum blockchain or the Polkadot blockchain, where people build privacy and security applications, or what they call them, snaps instead of dApps, for it. Their two big projects is, if I can find them here, is Loki.net, which is its own decentralized web system. It's kind of like Tor or I2P, and the other one, I have to go back on is Sessions, which is a decentralized messaging system similar to like ye old Keybase and stuff that we're actually interested in testing out at some point. Again, we're not running anything because when we make our username and stuff, that's going to be stuck to that chain. I'm pretty sure it's like nearly impossible to move your profile around, so we'd rather test it out with our own systems, and we also don't want to dox ourselves by doing that. And there is also a wrapped version of it, so it can be compatible with the ERC Ethereum ERC20 Ethereum network called Oxen. In addition to that, and so we've learned a lot of new terms. We've explored this network. It is fascinating. It should be interesting to see how this grows because again, when we reached out to Sessions, they were like in pre-alpha, and now it seems like they're like in a solid beta. So that's honestly kind of promising. So it's neat to see like a group of people where they have like this visual professionalism and they kind of know where they want to go, but that they also want to learn from their own mistakes and stuff. And there's some things to be a little bit worried about here and there, but very interesting project. And what was the other thing that we learned is you folks, one introduced me to, I didn't realize we'd be able to find a goddamn spelling mistake on something completely unrelated, and you introduced me to this Thor chain that apparently also like recently got hacked and stuff. So that and this and wrapped coins are going to be a future episode. I didn't know these two things existed, and thank you for introducing me to them. So that's awesome. Well, I'm going to go back to the face cam here. That is going to be the end of our of Crypto Barons for today. Again, thank you for all of those who stuck around through all this craziness. Thank you. I'm trying to remember the username before this. Thank you, Shakunj1 for using your minds and Twitter's platform for sending followers to us. Again, you can find us both on Twitter at DEFCON21NJ, and we don't have it listed here. We actually do have it listed on our big social media URL here. It's a link tree. But you can also find us at minds.com, where we normally, except for today because I'm stupid and too busy, announce when we have Crypto Barons episodes. We will post on our Minds the recap of this episode. You can, I just blanked out there. If you want to know about our upcoming meeting on August 20th, which I hope to see you there, whether it's virtually or in person, because it's going to be a hybrid, you can go to our website at defcon21.org, which I also just posted in chat. Right now, I am literally heading over to DLive right now, and we are going to distribute lemons. Basically, we're going to fade out, play some music. While that happens, I'm going to put in something like, I don't know, like nearly 100, like 70 to nearly 100 lemons in there. So if you're on DLive, one, please follow us. We're only 2 people away still on DLive from being able to upgrade our account. And following us is free, and this will be a free upgrade to our account. So that would be great. And let's go here. And if you're on Twitch, we're going to be raiding another channel during our during the outro here, where you hear some music and stuff. So on Twitch, stick around. On DLive, stick around because you're about to get lemons right now. If you're on Twitch, stick around because we're going to go raid another channel, which I'm looking at right now. So there's that one's interesting there. Ooh, there's an interesting gaming nerd tournament going on right now. There's a Q&A going on here. There's some interesting streamers that have popped up on here right now. That's the... Okay, you know what? Even though there's all this other stuff going on, screw it. We're gonna raid a music channel based on one of our favorite people that host their own section, their own village and special interest groups on DEF CON, because there's so many interesting streaming stuff, but that stuck out to us so much that, you know what, screw it. We're gonna go raid them on Twitch. So stay around on Twitch. We're gonna raid them. And right now, I'm literally adding like a bunch of lemons. I'm putting on here. So it's gonna be 72 lemons. So if you want to get lemons, get them right now. We're gonna go raid this awesome music stream right now. Say hi to all the people in chat there. And this has been episode Crypto Barons. Our next episode, because it's the 2nd and 4th Saturday of every month. So our next episode will be on the 28th. We're probably going to look over all the cryptocurrency and payment stuff that happened at DEF CON like way later, which is good because then that way all of those different sections of DEF CON will guarantee to be on the internet for us to look at. Future episodes, we're going to be doing a lot more hardware, software, coding stuff from September to December, and we should have some really cool people to come on. So again, I'll see you guys I'll see you all you what do you call it? All of you hashes and blocks on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 28th. And I hope to see you in person or online for our meeting on the 20th. And I believe that on the 19th will be our co-founder G.I. Jack show, Archvile Linux Perspective, which shout out to him for always giving me the literal physical blockchain for the Crypto Barons episode every time that I stream. So that's going to be it for our show. If you're on Twitch, we're going to raid. If you're on DLive, we're going to get lemons. If you're on YouTube, hey, sorry, but at least you get to see the stream again because it's permanently stored on there. Thank you all for watching right now. This has been SciPoc. I'm one of the two co-founders of DEF CON 201. Hack the Planet, Dirty Jersey represent, and remember, let's get back to the, that's me clicking the wrong thing right there, but this is going to be way more funny. Just remember, including us, please use spell check. For your website, especially if you're going to be like a major business entity, because it's sad when one of our own people hack the planet and hack spell check, because it's bad when you have a grammar error on your giant important business website. And we're just a bunch of hacker schmucks on the internet, so we make spelling mistakes all the time. We're just like a couple of fun losers that know how to do stuff. This is a major company where other major privacy companies and organizations are using their shit, and there's a grammar error, and you can't blame hackers for that. I mean, you could. You look stupid, but you can't blame them for that. That's it. Enjoy the raid. Say hi to all the people who that you're gonna raid on Twitch, and we're gonna do the lemons right now. So enjoy the outro music. Bye, everybody. Copy paste your whole site into MS Word. Yeah, that's how we built our first website for DC201. Anyhow, bye out there. Enjoy the outro music. Enjoy the raid and the lemons. Why is everything going nuts right now?